sarvesham swastirabhavatu.
Lifelong vitality. That's a good thing to think about, right? And I just wanted to talk a little bit about vitality in terms of yoga practice and think about where really the vitality comes from and where does our health and strength come from. And we tend to get very preoccupied with the physical body and think that is really everything that we have to deal with. But according to yoga, physical body is just really the beginning of our awareness. And there's so much more to our individual being besides just the physical body. So we have more and more subtle layers of energy. And according to yoga, there are 5 levels or veils. They're called veils or because they are coverings over the light, the inner light that is our true nature. And these veils, they're called the Koshas, 5 Koshas, Pancha-Koshas. The Annamaya Kosha is the physical layer, and it's showed in this picture as the outside layer. It's not really out or in. It just is. And the physical body is what we know. It's made up of our food, and that's what we know. The next more subtle layer is Pranamaya Kosha, the energy body. And we think of it as our breath, but it's much more subtle even than the breath. The Pranamaya Kosha is the energy that the life force energy in our body, out in the whole of creation also, and in the whole universe. So it's not just in, it's here also. And when you hear about auras or your energy field, that's Pranamaya Kosha, the energy body. The next more subtle level is Manomaya Kosha, which is the mental body. That's our thinking mind. Thinking. We think of it as in the brain, but it's not necessarily in the physical brain. Thinking it's a movement of the energy. And what's most important in yoga practice is these first 3 layers, the physical, the energetic, and the mental. And that's what our yoga practices are mainly dealing with. The energy, Pranamaya Kosha, the prana, is moving the body, giving life to the body and to the mind. It's the same energy that's moving both. And the yoga practices are meant to stabilize and balance and energize and harmonize both the physical and the mental so that we can access the more subtle layers, the next 2 subtle layers, which are Vijnanyamaya Kosha, which is our intuitive higher mind that is more in touch with reality in terms of the truth of life. And then the Anandamaya Kosha, which is the bliss, that happiness, that feeling of peace and joy that comes from knowing the truth. Still beyond that is the Atman, the self, or the light within. So we're really concerned in yoga practice, we're concerned with the physical, the energetic, and the mental. And it's interesting in terms of yoga, the prana, the energy is spent through actions, both physical and mental. And the yoga practices are to enhance the prana and balance it and remove any blockages. You can imagine if the prana or the energy is not flowing to certain parts, even in the physical body, that's what leads to dis-ease. And if the energy is blocked or imbalanced in the mind, we know what that feels like, disturbance in the mind. So all of our yoga practices are to balance the energy. And it's interesting in terms of yoga therapy or in terms of yoga philosophy, talking about prana and replenishing your prana or your energy. The number one source of replenishing your prana, your energy, is meditation. Second, pure water, which is interesting to think about in terms of the aging process, because our mental energy, dispersed mental energy, stress, worry, anxiety, that replenishes our energy field and our prana. So we have to take care of both the mental and the physical. And that's why meditation and pranayama are very important parts of our practice, as well as the deep relaxation. That relaxation and stress reduction every day, reboot the system. That's a very important part of our practice. So we're very fortunate that Swami Satchidananda, in a very simple package, he gave us a complete balancing yoga practice. In 50 years ago, we didn't even know what we were doing. We just followed the advice, and it has proven to be very useful. Simple, balanced asana practice. The integral yoga sequence is very balancing, and it's meant to balance the prana in terms of the pranic energy, the energy field, but on the physical level, it starts with balancing the endocrine system, and that affects the health of the whole body and balance of the body. And it's to balance the mind and through the relaxation, the breathing practices, and the meditation. So it's a beautiful series, and we can use the breath as a guide. In yoga therapy, the most important part of the breathing is the exhalation. That is where the control takes place, and that the deeper, the longer, the more complete the exhalation, the deeper the inhalation will be automatically. So a lot of times, people who are not used to yogic breathing, if you say, have a slow, deep breath, they think of sucking in the breath like this. But that is not where more breath or oxygenation or prana comes in. When we exhale slowly and completely, then just by relaxing, we inhale and expand. Periodically, check the breath, observe the breath, because our Gurudev, Swami Satchidananda, he recommends that you just let the breath be natural in the asana practice and never strained. So when we're making these efforts and holding poses at the end, when the pose is finished, the breath should just be neutral before going on to the next pose. So you can check for that, and you can check if you're exhaling easily. If you have to gasp for breath, or you can't exhale slowly, then you have to wait, let the breath come back to neutral before going on to the next pose. And we'll be finishing this practice with a prana Om Shakti meditation, which is dealing with the Pranamaya Kosha, the energy field.